And if you want to stand, give us your name, church location, and your brief and publicly interesting question.
Luke Gorsett from Omaha, Nebraska. The church there is Emmaus Bible Church. I've got a new sort of revitalization opportunity that's come available in Omaha, although it wouldn't constitute like a revitalization. It's sort of a declining church where the pastor is retiring after 26 years, and I'm currently in the candidating process for that church, but the pastor is going to remain as a member in the church. So I'm just wondering, is that a big-time red flag, or if you have any counsel as to should I really take that strongly into consideration, or what should I do about that?
Ed, over to you.
Yeah, just run. No, no. He may be a very gracious man, and it might be a smooth transition, but I can't think of any examples where the old man has stuck around and has not been overly involved in an unhelpful way. So that's just what I've seen. I don't have a chapter and verse for that, but it seems rough.
Is Eric your pastor? Yes. Eric knows Zach Schlegel. Zach is pastor of First Baptist Church, Upper Marlboro, in Prince George's County. That senior pastor has stayed before Zach, and it's going really well. So if Eric wants to talk to him, can give you maybe some pointers, or you call Zach. I think Ed is giving you sort of normal wisdom, and there are exceptional situations where it seems to work really well. I'm depending. Yep. And then let me see if somebody who hasn't asked a question gets to go first. All right. I'm going to see if someone who hasn't asked a question yet gets to go first before we start getting seconders for the day. Yep.
All right. Stephen Mason, Redeeming Grace Baptist Church in Lexington Park, Maryland. My question is, what is the role of the sending church in the church plan or church revitalization after they've already launched?
Ed, over to you.
Because I'm a Baptist, I believe in the autonomy of the local church, so really we don't have any authority, but sometimes they need money, and often they will need advice and counsel. Sometimes they will need you to send some of your members over there to help and assist temporarily, and sometimes we will just ask some of our members just to leave permanently and to go to them. But because I believe in the autonomy of the local church, they're on their own in that sense. And hopefully, like with your own children, if you've raised them well, you're not going to be dictating what they're doing once they're adults and have moved on.
I agree entirely with that. A follow-up, brother?
What happens if they're veering? Maybe early in the process?
Did you pick a bad guy?
This isn't our experience. This is just a general question. So you picked the good guy, I guess. Maybe he left early or something. The church is starting to veer.
Yeah, we'd have to speak offline more specifically. Yeah, because Ed's right. You don't have any authority if that's a separate church. Yeah, you can give counsel, but you don't have any authority. Yep. Where are we? Yep.
Jim Dorton, Three Sons Church in Dover, Delaware.
Jim, have you already asked a question?
No.
You just identified. You go ahead. Yeah.
For Ed, actually, if the church has been in error in providing the Lord's Supper or in baptizing, and you're going to correct that, a good, gentle way to bring the congregation around, maybe some suggestions.
We're in the process of that now. And we're learning. And I'm wanting to sit at Bobby's feet and to hear what he has to say. In fact, even after hearing him speak this morning, I would like to invite him to our church to speak to our elders and to speak to our congregation. I would just say this. If a church has been doing something one way for multiple decades, don't hit the beehive with the baseball bat, but turn the ship around slowly and through your preaching. And so, for example, this year I did a series of sermons on the ordinances, so to inform the people as much as I could from the pulpit, but allow for a lot of questions and move deliberately, but move slowly and very graciously. one of the things that we did week before last is we said if anybody has any questions from 6 to 8 p.m., the elders will be at the church. Please come and bring your questions to us about this, and a couple of people showed up. So openness, moving slow, understanding, and love. Love.
Anybody else who's not asking a question yet today? Yep, go ahead.
David Williams from Ashton Baptist Church in Ashton, Maryland. I'll just briefly tell you what our church is going through right now. We're at a plateau and we're just beginning to decline.
You mean in godliness and spirituality?
What was that?
You mean in godliness and spirituality?
Yes. I would say both. I think, yes, in numbers too.
Oh, in numbers.
It started with participation in events and outreach and just being a part of our community. So our congregation is predominantly older, and what has happened is that, at least as far as I've seen, I don't know about you guys, but they have done their time and have kind of like just taken a back seat and want younger people to go out and do the good work. So our question is, to those of us that might be in that situation.
Raise your hand if you would say that's your situation you're in.
Cool.
See,
All right.
a couple hands, okay?
What are some words of encouragement that you might give, or words of advice that you might give to people in our situation?
Yeah, I would say that was a situation when I got here, in no small part, and they had been a faithful congregation, but were literally just tired. I think you've got to be kind and gentle. Even if you're their same age, maybe you have more energy than somebody else does. But we were having brothers and sisters in their 80s and 90s sit on committees, like driving in on Tuesday nights to the middle of D.C. for a committee meeting from like 7 to 8:30. And it's just like, yeah, this just shouldn't be. So I think you have to cut them a lot of slack in that. You just have to start thinking, rethink, well, what a church is. You may have to help them rethink it and realize what they really need to do is be able to come together on Sunday and sing God's praises, hear His word read, and respond with their lives, and baptism, Lord's Supper. But you want to pray that the Lord will use you and others to see people saved and new people join the church. Or else it could be, in God's strange sovereignty, that church closes down. The promise in Matthew 16 is not a promise that no congregation will ever close. It's that His kingdom universally, His church universally will not fail. One of the things I said to our local denominational official when I got here, and he took a walk on the block and he asked me what my vision for the church was. And I said, well, the first thing I think anybody who comes to a church like this needs to know is that this local church can fail, can close, and God's kingdom is victorious. Christ's church is not threatened. He may have called me here to shepherd these dear saints to their graves, then redistribute the assets of the church, and then go do something else. So you don't need to be under threat. You don't need to over-identify your local congregation with the kingdom of Christ. So you want to be kind, gentle, pray, be an evangelist yourself. Pray God raise up other evangelists and see if He'll renew the work. Yeah. Yes. Others. Yeah.
Hi, Jordan Brown, Baptist Fellowship in Columbia, Connecticut. So my friend Cody and I, we're working with a group of people that have left a local church in our area. Nasty situation, sin, just pervased and kind of made the church implode. So we have a group of people who have gathered together, and they're under the authority of a church in Providence that's been helping them out. And they've jumped really far ahead with a group that's not on the same page with any sort of statement of faith, any sort of covenant, or even a constitution. So we're trying to help them hit the brakes and stop. So what pieces of advice would you have for a group like this, where there's a lot of people from a different widespread group that kind of need direction? Yeah.
Jordan, that situation is just rife with potential problems and disappointments. Because what happens, even when a church starts to turn around, like when this church started to turn around, there were all kinds of people who would come to it. Because they thought, like, oh, it's a new chapter. Oh, exciting times are coming. But they didn't have in mind the same thing. So then when it began to clarify what we were going to be doing, like, most of those people who came, like, bailed. They're like, oh, well, I didn't want this. They would get off. So it's very dangerous, this thing, when you're just starting a church, because it can look like everybody's dreams are about to be fulfilled. So the clearer you are in the beginning, I'm looking right at you, John. The clearer you are in the beginning, the less hassle it's going to be for everybody. the people who agree with you and the people who don't. So I think if you, Jordan, are you the would-be pastor?
That's a long answer.
Well, if there is a would-be pastor, I would encourage that brother to know what he thinks the Bible teaches. And I would encourage him to set it out publicly in a statement of faith. And I would encourage him to start meeting with the people who agree with him about what the Bible teaches. And that should be the group you work with.